you'll accept that phrase, knowing that we still have some work to do. And for example,
Right.
there's always people have to remember that a budget is nothing more than a snapshot in time. A lot of times people think that's the budget, but it's a constantly evolving issue. Tomorrow we'll have a bid opening for student transportation. Perhaps we'll get some good news out of that. Perhaps we won't. It's a very fluid process, but you're right, Mel. It's unlikely we will accrue that level of attrition savings. That's why that's one of the lines that we need to review further to see where else that can come from.
And just for clarification, Carl, that's not that we're not replacing people who are retiring. That's money that was saved by hiring people to replace them at a lower rate of pay.
Right.
However, it could come to not filling a position or two,
You're
correct?
absolutely right. Yep.
It could come to that if we get to a point where we just don't have the budget.
Yeah, but the reason we're showing these
No,
numbers
right.
is we're not intending to do that.
But I think if you look at the number of retirees, we don't have that many retirees in the teacher ranks.
No, we don't, but we also know that it's not uncommon over the summer for some people to resign.
So more senior people resign, okay.
Yeah, we know we have some challenges with kindergarten ahead of us. We still haven't determined what our personnel staffing needs are there. That may be our next challenge here. But I think we all know that we're certainly focused on not changing the personnel complement.
I will say that just to echo what Karen said, the cooperation between the school committee, finance committee, and the board of selectmen is exceptional in this town.
Oh, absolutely.
We met with the finance committee the other night. They support what the selectmen have decided to do in terms of funding our budget. They had 4 or 5 questions for us that Carl answered pretty easily, and we went on our way.
And that comes from a level of trust that's been built up over a number of years.
I agree.
And that level of trust between the different parties and understanding that there's nothing hidden, it's all in there. I think that's what does it. And we ought to be commended as a community for working as a community.
I agree. One question, Dr. Manville, is are you bringing Kathleen up to speed on where our new superintendent, on where the budget is and what we have going forward, or you're not bothering her with those details yet?
Every time she asks, I say, no worries.
Everything's fine?
Everything's fine. Could be better. Then she signed the document.
Once the document's signed, we can tell her everything.
She's aware of where we're trying to go, what the figure is, and when we get into, for example, I told her that we put the $48,000 in professional development back. She was very happy to hear that, and then I told her we're trying to find it.
Right.
And she understands that, and when I figure out where it's coming from, I will email her and say this is what we've done. And she'll say thank you very much. I have a sense that because it is a bottom line budget, and she probably has her own focus points, and I'm sure they'll be discussed in the committee in July and August.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to keep her appraised of everything.
Great. Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Steve. All right, let's move down to number 3 on new business, school choice participation. And have Dr. Manville present it, but I know in the past North Reading has not participated. However, Dr. Manville also suggests that we can make a decision tonight, or we may want to think about it. We can vote on it next meeting. So I'll let
Exactly. When Ed reformed it in 1993, a huge part of it was because it was a business model, was competition. And so, if you had a really good district and other people wanted to come to your district because it was so good, the avenue was open. It was called school choice. And unless a district specifically notifies the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education by June 30th of a given year, it is a choice district. There are very few choice districts left in the state, I will tell you that. But you have to take a vote every year whether you want. If you ignore it, if you don't vote, you're a choice district. If you want to opt out, you have to take a vote. if a student comes from another district to the North Reading Public Schools, they bring with them $5,000 of Chapter 70 money. If a North Reading student leaves and goes to another district, $5,000 of Chapter 70 money leaves. And very, very, very few people, if any, leave here because of school choice. The other caveat I think you should know is if you accept a choice student, you accept that student until he or she opts to leave, they get expelled, or they graduate. You can't go to a kid after 2 years and say, you know what, our enrollment's up, your choice contract is revoked, you have to go back to where you were. You accept them, you accept them. The receiving school, if you decide you wanted to do this, you could look at your numbers and say, you know what, we could take 10 kids at the elementary level, 4 kids at the secondary level, however you wanted to work it out. There are rules governing who you take and how you take them. You don't have to take everybody. You have the right to review all the paperwork. You have the right to call the sending school and get the discipline report of the child who wants to come in, all that kind of stuff. From a personal point of view, when Choice first came in and I was a high school principal, we were a choice district. And the high school probably had 20 to 25 choice kids in it. And I thought it was a very positive experience for everybody. Like I said, right now the number of choice districts has dwindled to a precious few. You can vote tonight, or you can wait until the 24th, and I'll put it on the agenda again to vote on the 24th if you want to look into it. If Mike wants to come up to speed on it, whatever. I just have to be able to tell the DESC by June 30th how you voted.
I know in the past, we've always voted not to participate. We've had a specific wording of a motion that we used. So one, I'd like us to have that, and we can,
Okay.
well, we have time at the next meeting.
Yeah,
The other question I have, though, is you receive $5,000 of Chapter 70 money when the student comes in, but if it costs you $11,000 to educate the student, if your per pupil cost is $11,000, so the town has to pay the other $6,000 of that, or some combination of the town and other resources, correct? Because $5,000 doesn't.
Well, some argument could be made that until you get to a certain number of students,
Yeah.
your costs aren't going to
Yeah,
increase.
if
Oh, I hear what you're
That's a
saying, so,
fine line.
okay, I hear what you're saying.
You know, if a student comes into the 10th grade at the high school and there's a seat in the classroom and the teacher's already there and there's a textbook on the shelf, you're in pretty good shape.
Right.
But I can say this, from the 10 years that I've sat on the committee, I'm almost positive we voted unanimously all 10 years
Against
not
it.
to have school choice.
I think one of the concerns is, I don't know, is there any limit, people can come from any, I mean, you're not gonna get someone from, you know, Amherst, Mass. Coming to school here, but someone can come from any community to this school
Yes.
if they choose, correct?
Right.
And I think, you know, my fear is you get too many, and then the costs do outweigh the benefits.
Well, that's why you can limit it. You can say, you can actually say, the North Reading Public Schools is going to be a choice district for the 2010-2011 academic year, and we are going to take 15 elementary kids, 4 middle school kids, and 25 high school kids, broken down in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. You can do that. I would say, now that based on the last discussion we had, we probably should put this off to May 24th so I can call Kathleen and let her know, see if she has any ideas.
Any other comments from the committee? Because I'd like to just move it to the 24th. If you have any background information, or can direct us to a
Sure.
website where we can get, more detail, because I know that Dr. Troughton in the past has had a firm stance against participating in school choice.
The committee has. so.
And the committee has, right. I mean, but his recommendation always was against it. So I'd just like to have, you can vote on it on the 24th.
I have no problem with
Just
that.
don't forget to put it back on.
Right, don't forget.
Or we're in trouble.
Right.
My 9 years in Saugus, I recommended school choice every year for 9 years. On a combined vote, I lost 44-1.
But you didn't give up.
No, I kept coming back. And 1 year I convinced one member of the committee to support it. That was my one vote.
And you said,
It could be 49-1 after this year. No, I'm not, I don't
Any-
know.
any-
Not that you speak for anybody.
You said there are very few communities that participate now?
Yes, there are. Around here, Masconomet is a choice
Yeah.
district, Middlesex Essex is, Manchester Essex is a choice district. And I think Beverly still is a choice district. but-
Masco has been for 10 or 12 years,
Yes,
and we've
yeah.
actually had kids
Right,
leave here
go
to go
there.
to Masco.
Yeah, and I think Beverly still is a choice district, but, many have just said, no, we're not gonna do it anymore.
Okay, next we have bills and payrolls, which are in the process of being signed. Did we I didn't see any minutes attached.
No,
were there?
the-
No minutes?
We had some from our last,
From our last.
we had some from our last meeting that we didn't approve, so we
Yeah,
need
and
to
I'm
get
still in
those.
trouble because I didn't get
April
it in
1st.
April 1st, so I apologize, I will do that this week.
So if you can bring those back, those old
Yep,
minutes.
sure.
And then, we have a, donation from the Middle School Parents Association. I think this is related to the Washington.
It's related to the Washington trip, and there's a letter in your packet from Mr. Forshare to the Middle School Parents Association. They donated $3,000 in support of the grade 8 trip to Washington DC and the local alternative. They're supporting both of them.
That's a very nice donation.
Yes, it really
That's
is.
great. So I guess have a motion to accept this donation from the Middle School Parents Association
To accept.
With gratitude.
with gratitude and appreciation, correct.
Thank you
Motion
so
by
much.
Mr. Bowers, can I have a second?
I will second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. And then we have correspondence. I do want to mention, there's a couple things on here. This update on the race to the top, we're not required to take another vote on this, are we? If we
No.
already voted? Okay.
Not at all. It's back, the commissioner's bringing stuff out that says if, you didn't sign on, if you want to sign on, here's where we are, this is what we're doing. It's all information. You have taken your vote, you have voted no. The association, although because you voted no, wasn't required to do anything.
Right.
They had expressed to me that they weren't interested in it. They're still not interested in it. But I just want to make sure that you got the stuff.
Okay, we also got that we had a summary of the anti-bullying bill, which I believe we're gonna have someone from the police department meeting with you and school administrators to discuss.
Yeah, as you know, the governor signed the anti-bullying act, and I put in your packet a summary of the law and also a sample policy from MASS. Mike Long, who's the counsel for MASS, put together a sample policy which includes the sexual harassment, the bullying, and the hazing all in one policy. And again, this is just for your information. And Tom Hatch, who is, is the school officer for the North Reading Police Department, has asked that he be allowed to come and speak to the administrative council. We're going to do that a week from Thursday on the 20th of May to go over this and what it means and how to implement it.
And we have just two other quick pieces. We have a nice letter from a Spanish teacher up in, is it Milo, Maine? Milo, Maine, where
I believe it's Milo.
they traveled with their group of students, a group of 9 students, to Spain, and they went with our group of students, and it looks like he's got a lot of nice things to say about our kids and their behavior and how
Yes.
they formed great
Yeah.
friendships, so that's nice to hear. And the energy of our Spanish teacher also, who spoke last weekend, 2 weeks ago at our budget hearing, and was very energetic about the Costa Rica trip.
Absolutely.
Despite having flown in like they did.
Right,
before.
they did, right.
Yeah.
And then finally, all the committee members should review this. There's the town-owned land, which we have to take a vote. Do we take a vote on whether we
We're
are or
interested.
not interested,
Yeah,
right?
we are
If
interested.
we are interested,
Right.
and I think we need to get this back by July 1st. So we can vote on it, take a look at it. We probably vote on it in the next meeting. We
Okay.
normally don't have any interest in any of this land, but,
Can't think of anything.
right, just take a look at it.
Can I just, before we get too far away from correspondence, I left at your seats the senior calendar of activities for the end of the school year, the little school calendar for May, the invitation to Mr. Lacisse's retirement party. Also, I believe in the packet is Mr. Ward's retirement party.
See that?
I
Yes, sir.
know, I'm sorry, it's not there. But there is the